There comes a time in every man's life where he has to make a decision. A decision that could possibly change his life forever. That will impact the decisions he makes going forward, every day leading up to one culminating moment. And in that moment, the things that define who we will become, who we were, and who we are all come together. And you must decide definitively if you answer that call. The one that echoes out in your Discord calls, your friends' words eerily repeating in your head.
You want to play ranked? Hey, you want to play Legends?
And recently, my friends, I've made that choice. My answer to that calling is, nah. Teamfight Tactics, League of Legends for people who want to play League of Legends, who also really happen to hate League of Legends. I guess it's hard to call Teamfight Tactics or TFT its own game. I mean, it sorta is. On mobile, it's its own deal, but on my computer, it means having to see all this shit to get in my comfy zone. I haven't slept in 3 days, and it's all blurred to me, so bear with me a bit. TFT is pretty easy to understand. You have 4 modes of play, which I'll break down in a bit, and each follows a pretty similar formula. You have a board, and you go up against 7 other players to be the last person standing. Instead of playing as a champion like in good old regular leg of laggers over here, you play as a tactician here called a little legend. They're pretty much all the same in the sense that they're just there to look cute, and you'll mainly use them to collect items and gold at certain points as you play through a game. Your main goal is to build up a team of champions. Each champion has a rank, 3 levels, its own stats, and special traits. You'll want to, most of the time anyway, build up a team using these traits to your advantage, as having a lot of one trait on your board will provide benefits. Combine this with items and augments, and you have the real basics of the game. In each round, you'll face off either against another player or AI enemies, with your teams attacking each other to determine a winner. This is actually really deceptively simple, as you have a lot of strategies you can go for with this, and will have to experiment to get a good grasp on how you want your team to play every single game. You can play mostly backlines, for example, or have a defensive frontline that tanks damage while your snipers pick off everyone from the backline. Or you can put everything up front and center to make sure you're dealing all your damage right away. You can even do this shit if you want to lose. If you win, you get to hit the other player for damage, and if you lose, you get hit. And this repeats, with the damage going up as you pass through stages of the game. Each stage has multiple rounds where you'll either be battling another player AI-controlled mob, getting items in some game modes, getting an augment that can change the properties of your board or team, or you get to go to a carousel which will give everyone access to a free champion with an item equipped to them. Going in order from last place to first place in terms of who gets to pick things first, to give people straggling behind a bit of a chance to get first dibs and catch up a bit. This game has a lot of strategy to it. You really have to learn how to work on the fly here and deal with the hands you get dealt in more ways than one, and sometimes that might mean having to change your plans. You might find it to your benefit to lose a lot at the start and get first pick on some powerful champions. You have gold to manage and an interest mechanic where every 10 gold you have up to 50 increases the interest you get each round. So you have to ask, is it better to roll a 0 to get to things quickly, or is it better to hold off to try and stay at a high amount of gold to help you out later on? You also have to ask when you want to level yourself up, which gives you room for more champions on your board, increases your chances of seeing higher ranked champions in your deck, but it also means you might have a harder time ranking up your weaker units to level 3 where they'll be able to keep up better late game. You only have limited space on your board, so who do you prioritize leveling up first? Leveling up is super important because it increases a champion's power overall, increasing their health, damage, and also their mana, which when maxed allows them to use a special attack. But to get a level 2 requires 3 level 1s, and to get a level 3 requires 3 level 2s. Which means if you're not planning around that, you can end up with a full board and not much you can do about it, especially in the mid-game. Maybe it's important to focus on that level 3 rank 1 champion instead of trying for that level 3 rank 3 early on. Maybe you need to hold off leveling to get that rank 1 to level 3 first with a higher chance to roll them than you would late game. It might not be worth it trying to get a rank 4 or 5 champion to level 3 because they're so hard to come by, especially in the mid-game, and you might not see them normally even if they are extremely powerful. What items do you need? What are other people building? Your chances of getting a unit you need go down pretty bad if there's 3 other people wanting your shit. And every other player will be notified if you get a champ to level 2 or 3, so they might be planning around what you're building too. It's all a balancing game of what you need to get, what you want to do, and utilizing seeing other players' boards, what they're building, and your augments to determine if you should stay the course or think about pivoting to another plan. Along with items, which we'll get to in a sec, gold is king in TFT. You earn gold through winning, through losing, and from AI battles against mob, which will either give you gold champs or items from these little balls that have different colors. In most modes, you want to find a good balance of using gold and building interest to try and get ahead of the other players. Some champs can also give gold too when they defeat another enemy. You almost want to do this dance with gold a bit. You really don't want to get caught at late game falling behind and broke, but you also don't want to be sitting rich and getting your ass kicked. It's all about balance and again strategy. There are a few things you can use gold for. You can use them to level yourself up at any time, or you can also use them to buy champions from this handful of cards you have available to you at any time. You can also spend 2 gold at any time to refresh that shop, to potentially get some champions that are more along what you need. The champs range from costing 1 to 5 gold, and it costs 4 gold to gain 4 experience points, which will allow you to put more champions out. Champions gain value based off rank and level, so you want to sell what you're not going to use, and budget as best you can and hoping you get what you want. Admittedly, you can end up being a victim of RNG sometimes too. The gods just frown upon you and you're left pondering how you got here and what choices led to this moment when you just refreshed 50 gold away and you still don't have what you need. Items are arguably almost just as important though. Sometimes all it takes is the right item to totally turn a game around. And while there's nothing quite as frustrating as some troglodyte building Sivir with 2 Ginzu's Rage Blades and deleting my entire goddamn team, there is a lot of variety and options that really change up how your team behaves. For example, you can mainly do a build that suppresses the enemy's team with something like a Zephyr, which knocks the enemy farthest away from you into the air for a short time. Or you can build a champion around healing off damage, or you can do this shit. Really, it's fun to experiment with different things and find weird combos. You don't have to be a slave to the meta. You never know what might work, and there's a lot of options to try out. Some champs definitely work better with different items, and you sort of just get this vibe for what might work and what's really a bad idea. When you combine this with a rotating cast of characters and traits, this actually makes TFT a really simple to understand but highly addictive game that's pretty damn comfy. While it manages to stay fresh and interesting with opportunities every season for players to learn together what works and what doesn't. Sometimes it's nice to just kick back and play a game or two, but the question is, how do you want to play? Like I said before, there's 4 modes within TFT. There's normal, which is when you hunt juniors where you see people doing some weird things. And there's ranked where you see the more tryhardy types. This is just good old plain Jane TFT, there's nothing really crazy going on here. You won't get too much insanity here in terms of regular gameplay outside the occasional asshole trying to make Yordle mercenaries a thing. Can you believe I lost? After this, you end up in the more niche game modes. These both have their own ranking system apart from ranked play, so there's actually some incentive to play these here too and get some sweet rewards. First off, we have Double Up, which is the newest mode added to the game earlier this year. In Double Up, you get to team up with another person, and this is the greatest way to play in my opinion if you want to play with a friend. In this mode, you share a health pool with your partner. You each play like normal, except you won't be facing each other, of course. And you have some other handy things to encourage working together. First off, every other stage you get an item that lets you send one champion of your choice over to the person you're playing with. This can be pretty beneficial in a pinch if your deck's seeing more of a certain champ they need, or they just need a certain item you have extras of. Or sometimes, actually, a good strategy is just to level to a rank 1 champion early on and send it over to them to help them out a bit. Also, you actually get the chance to send an item over to the other player every so often. So you'll want to be communicating as you go to be most effective. And you'll both want to be actually playing your best, because if you win your fight fast enough, you can actually go and help out your partner with any champions you have left, with the health they had left at the end of your battle. This is going to lead to a lot of these tense moments where your last champ's hanging on for dear life, and your friend's level 3 Goku makes it dynamic just in time to stop the Ginyu Force and defeat that evil monster Frisbee. You're also going to want to coordinate what you're running. The last thing you want to have happen is getting caught out with both of you running the same units, and neither of you being able to max out your shit. For reference, I run Yordles. I only run Yordles. I might have a problem. A problem you're going to have to live with, and probably die with, because I'm not very good. And finally we've reached it, the apex of TFT. The mode where boys become men, and men become sobbing messes because they can't remember what items make what. Hyper Roll is a slightly faster version of TFT surrounded around just making your things work as best you can as fast as you can. Your time to do things is a lot shorter. Hyper Roll isn't concerned with your interest rates or really a lot of stuff. It's concerned with giving you the TFT experience in like 20 minutes and fulfilling that capitalist dream of making everyone broke. I really like this game mode. I find that it can be a lot more chaotic than the others, because it's a little bit more focused on thinking things through on the fly, and can lead to rushed decisions with little time to think. It can work out pretty well sometimes, other times, not so much. Some traits are also slightly different in Hyper Roll. For example, Yordles normally spit out more Yordles. However, in Hyper Roll, your Yordles spit out more Yordles. Many Yordles. Look at them. Just look at them. They're beautiful. Now we're done talking about the game itself, we should probably address the money issue. Like, real money. TFT is a free-to-play game. However, luckily, its money-making model is actually pretty decent. Each season, there's a handful of freebies the game will give you should you reach these ranks in the Battle Pass, and no items are really mandatory to change how the game plays or anything, so you can get away without ever having to pay any money at all. You have a couple options too for buying things. You can buy these eggs, which cost a little bit less and give you a random tactician, or you can spend a little bit more and get something outright that you want. And really, because it's just cosmetics, you don't actually need to ever buy anything, even if you might want to just to spice things up a little. And luckily, I can say, even as a free-to-play until just recently, I've had a lot of fun and gotten some fun stuff just from playing the events. You know, for a long time, I was really hesitant to think about even playing TFT or even, God, installing League on my computer. You see, I had a lot of these terrible experiences with League, especially when I was younger, and it actually made it hard to play a lot of games online for a long time. It was something that really stuck with me. And it really soured me that even though I kind of like these characters and the designs in this world, I just found myself hating the idea of ever playing this game again. I'm not a MOBA guy to begin with, and League especially really soured me on it. But for the most part, luckily, TFT's community just does their thing. After all, you're mostly just relying on yourself and chilling out. And that means there's little reason to trash talk. I think that's some of what makes TFT so special to me. I always like this world and characters to an extent. I like some of the characters a lot. And TFT provides me a different way to play them, while holding on to still some of the aspects of the base game in mind, like making builds, and that's pretty cool to me. I'm sure it's not for everyone. Its slower pace probably makes it not ideal for some people who prefer the more action-oriented gameplay of regular old League. But hey, next time your friends are bugging you to reinstall League of Legends for the 100th time, because you're bored and they're bored too, maybe give it a shot. It might just surprise you. And hey, there's a new season coming real soon, so now's probably a good time to join. Hey, you might have a lot of fun learning the new rotation with everyone else. And think about it too. It means you can dab on your friends when they ask you to want to play League. Because friendos, I already am. And really, at the end of the day, why else are we here if not to dab on League players? By actually just playing League in the first place. My point exactly. Thank you.